Hi guys, so if you want some good ideas for storage in a mobile home or to have a look at how I do that, keep watching. So this week I'm going to look at storage ideas and things like that, and I would love it if you added your ideas underneath it in the YouTube comments. So yeah, we can all share our ideas. There's a few ideas in here that are quite good. And no, I didn't build them. Gary and Barbara, the lovely people who built this truck, did a lot of the work, but they are actually very, very good ideas, and some of them are quite common, and quite a lot of people have those kind of features in their vehicle. I've also got to change out my lift pump. My lift pump appears to be leaking. I've had some problems starting the truck when it's been running. If I turn it off after a run and then I want to start it again, it's having to wind over quite a bit. So this is a job coming up. I've got some friends picking me up a new lift pump, so in the next couple of days I will replace that, and hopefully this truck will stop being silly when I try to start it. And also the lift pump has been leaking, so it's a cheap enough start, so I'll be putting in a new one of those either tomorrow or the next day, seeing how much work I have on. So yeah, that's one of my little entertainments, and it is one of those things on the road, you know, things pop up and you have to attend to them. Luckily nearby there's a great guy who specializes in diesel fuel situations, so he was able to order me one, and I've got some beautiful neighbours here who've offered to pick it up for me, so I've given them some money and they're off to town now to pick it up. So yeah, some of my key features that are helpful in this vehicle and handy are: number one, this is a rack Gary and Barbara made, and I dry or air washing on that, especially in winter when I have the fire going, because the fire's just there. So, you know, that's a very warm part of the vehicle, and it's super, super handy. I can actually fit one load of washing on there, and by morning it's dry. Another thing that I would never do different is having good storage under your seats. Like this seat has all my tools. That's all my tool compartment, which is a bit of a mess at the moment. And at the back there I've got winter shoes and things I'm not using at the moment. That one in winter is firewood, but at the moment I actually keep potatoes and bananas and veggies and things like that in there because it's cooler than in the kitchen where the fridge is. So, and what else do I put in there? Yeah, there's a few other things in there, like all my blank tapes for my reading. So yeah, that's really handy. Here is another one, which is the little drawer, thanks to Gary once again, under my fire. It's super handy for putting in firewood, and it keeps the fire at a nice height, like it's right next to my stove. So when I'm cooking, I can just, you know, bring a pot to the boil and pop it on the fire, and boom, it can carry on cooking without using gas. So that is a super, super handy little feature. And it does have quite a lot of cupboards. Those are all kitchen cupboards. That's kind of like my pantry. I store most of my food in there. A super big cutlery drawer, which I love because it has all sorts of stuff in it, like rubbish bags and bits and pieces. And this one's actually more like my office cupboard. I know it's in the kitchen, but that's where I keep paper, paperwork, business cards, my laminator, printing supplies, all of that sort of stuff goes in there. And this is my whatever shelf. And honestly, I'm not going to show you what's in there because it gets really untidy. Anything I don't know where to put goes in there. I think you've got to have one of those little areas. I'm also a huge fan of baskets. I think baskets are so handy. That basket I call my toy box. It has all my camera gear and little tripods and microphones and all that sort of stuff in it, so that's super handy. That little cabinet just has computer gear in it. This is another one of my favourite features, is the steps up into my bedroom. That is actually my cupboard for socks and underwear and things like that. The cupboard in beside there and behind there has all my linen, like towels and sheets and stuff like that. And my inverter's in there too, in its own separate little cubby hole. And this top one is actually for electrical stuff. As you can see, I charge things in there, but there's another inverter that I'm not currently using. My battery charger, wiring and all of that sort of stuff lives in there, but it's very handy because it's also steps. The bottom one has a lid that opens and shuts, so that is really, really cool. And once again, my passion for baskets, that one is another one where I just put odds and sods, things that I use often, get shoved in there, and about once a month I give it a good sort out. These top cupboards are handy for, well, I have my cups and glasses, spices, things like that. That one has odds and sods, like power cords, power cables, bits and pieces like that. At the back of my loft is actually another cupboard where I keep all my clothes. They all go in behind there. So as you can see, the loft ends there, and that cupboard actually goes back over the roof part of the way. But it's very handy, and it's about 1 metre deep, so it's got heaps of room. I also put things I'm not using clothing wise, like my winter clothes and things like that, in there at the moment. And that is a bit of a shambles, but that's where I hang my clothes because I don't have a wardrobe. But it works for those things that need to hang. This is another useful little thing. I actually made that in winter. The wood's not quite a matching kind, but it works. And it's basically somewhere to put the blender, and at the moment my fruit basket. When I spend more time on power, I actually put my rice cooker there. That's actually what I built it for, but that's in the cupboard at the moment because I'm not using it because it uses too much power to run through my inverter. So, but that's a really handy thing. I actually built that because I was sick of every time I drove I had to put the blender and the rice cooker and stuff on the floor, and then when I wasn't doing that, they took over that whole part of the bench. So I actually wanted them somewhere where they were contained, and of course all sorts of other bits and pieces have found their way onto that shelf because it's useful. So, but that's quite handy, just having that there where I can put things that aren't going to fall over or tip over when I'm driving. Things are good if they have more than one purpose, more than one use, you know. It's not just, yeah, like I wouldn't have normal lounge furniture in here because to me it'd be a waste of space if I put armchairs in here, whereas I've got so much storage under those seats, it's just too useful. And if I build a truck one day, I'll be doing exactly the same thing. Storage is really, really important when you're living in a tiny house, and you know, especially if you spend a lot of time in it or full time, you really need storage. It's really important. One of my projects coming up is to actually build some more lockers under the back of it, because at the moment my cab is kind of like my garage, so the whole passenger side is full of stuff, like my awning and my pegs and my chair and my hose and all sorts of things go in there. So yeah, I would like some more lockers so that I can get all of that stuff out of the cab and underneath. So I've owned this truck for a very long time, and yeah, there's still things to do. I did change some things here from when I first bought it. Like when I first bought it, it didn't have the side door, which I really found really important, so to put one of those in, because in order to get in and out when you were travelling, you had to drop the deck at the back, the veranda, and put the poles up and put the roof up and climb into the back. It was the only way in and out, and that was just frustrating, especially if you went to town and forgot something and wanted to get something out, whereas the side door is really handy. So vehicles evolve and grow over the years. Okay, if you buy a factory made, ready-made unit, maybe not so much, but you know, when you're working with wood and you can build and add things yourself. Whoops, I'm being attacked by the curtain, but this breeze is nice because it's been so hot lately. Here in lovely New Zealand, it's certainly summer. Whoops, I'm gonna have to move because that curtain's just trying to get me. Yeah, if you've got any other really cool storage ideas, I'd love to know about them. Please put them in the comments below, especially on YouTube. I tend to respond to them more on YouTube than I do on other social media channels, so that's a good place for discussion. And yeah, so this is some storage ideas. There are a lot of really good ideas out there, so the more you watch tiny house videos or look at ideas from that, they're always new ones, they're always good ones. There's some very clever ones. I've seen a few with very cool fold-up tables, which I think are amazing, but it just doesn't work where I am because I move my whole table depending on which door I'm using. So yeah, and let me know anything else you'd like to know more about. I'm actually going to make a video soon. I've been asking the people here I'm parked up with about what's important to them, so I want to make one about kind of etiquette, behaviour, being a considerate neighbour, and what that means to them and what's important to them. So it's been quite interesting, the kind of responses I've had. I've just been writing them down, so I'll make a video about that soon. So if you've got any input into that, I'd also be interested to know what that would mean to you. Okay, lots of love. See you next time.